Hi girls, Mr. Gilmore here. First thing you probably notice, we're doing a slightly different format. My reason for using PowerPoint and using effectively what is a stylus on top of that is that it just allows me to make these videos faster, it allows me to upload them faster, um, and it just puts far less strain on my internet bandwidth. So this actually ends up saving me quite a lot of time and honestly money. On top of that, you'll also notice we are getting started into algebra, which we have been talking about, kind of revising over for quite some time. Don't worry, today I'm going to go over stuff that you guys are probably more than comfortable with, but I wanted to revise over just to make sure everyone is on the same page. If there is anything here you struggle with, I'd really recommend putting a bit of time into reviewing over that material. If you get any of these questions wrong that I give at the end, please put some time into reviewing over that. If you don't understand why, please let me know. Um, Best way to look at it is if you don't know it, that's your uh, kind of problem. That's something you need to fix. If you don't understand it and you've given it an honest attempt, then that's my problem. So long as you've tried and you've struggled to understand it, then that's my problem. That's something I want to help you with. Okay, so let's get started straight into this. So I'm going to have a load of equations suddenly appear on the screen. Most of them you should be able to do, but we'll run through each one individually. And I'm going to zoom in here, mainly because I'm writing on a separate tablet to the actual screen, meaning if I don't zoom, the quality of my handwriting just goes terribly. So 4x plus 2x plus x. You can see these are all x's. It's like saying 4 boxes. I have 4 boxes, I get 2 more, and then I get 1 more. Well, it'll be 4 plus 2 plus 1. So that'll just be 7x. That's no great struggle. Similarly, 4x plus 2x, we're saying we've got some unknown number x, it's been multiplied by 4, and we're taking away twice that unknown number. Again, we're just looking at what we call the coefficients of the numbers, so 4 and 2, and we're subtracting 2 from 4, and we're kind of almost just ignoring the x's and saying it's 2x. I'm going to just slightly edit that a little bit. There we go. Now, where it starts to get a little bit tougher is when we look at something down below here. Again, for most of you girls, I'm running through this super fast because I think it's something you all already know, but it's more just to flag it. Make sure you're comfortable with the basics, and we'll build our way up to tougher and tougher algebra. How I look at algebra is it's all linear, it all goes in a line. If you struggle with something early on, it's important that you fix that. So we've got an x here, an x here, a y here, and a y here. So what we do is we add or subtract like terms. So we've got a like term here, 4x and 2x. Got another pair of like terms. I'm going to do it in a different color. 2y and y. But wait, that's a minus y. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. So our first thing here is just to rearrange this equation. So we're going to group the two x values together. So it'll be 4x plus 2x. And then we'll group the y values together. So it'll be plus 2y, because we've got a plus there, and minus y, because we've got a minus here. Fantastic. Okay, now we can just do what we've been doing in those last two examples, okay? So 4 plus 2, 6, and they're x's, so it's 6x. 2y's minus 1y, so 2 minus 1 is just y. So in reality, y is the same as 1y, and the only reason we just write down y is because we're lazy, if you wrote down 1y there, it wouldn't be wrong. It just would be giving yourself extra work. It's once it's plurals of y, we start kind of putting a coefficient onto it. So we've got our coefficients there, and x's and y's as our variables. Right, so let's move on to stuff a little bit tougher here. We're going to change over. I'm going to look at multiplying algebraic values, okay? So we've got 4x here multiplied by 3y. Now, what we do when we are multiplying algebraic values is, firstly, we multiply the coefficients, the numbers in front of our variables. So before multiplied by 3, I'll pop some brackets around that just so we know we'll do those first. Multiplied by y, because 4y is the same as 4 multiplied by y. X. So multiply by x, because 4x is the same as 4 multiplied by x. Similarly, 3y is 3 multiplied by y. So we're just multiplying them all together. So we're leaving our two variables at the end here, and we're multiplying our coefficients. 4 multiplied by 3, 12, x, y. Okay, so now on to probably one of the things that I see done wrong most commonly, and that's our values here, two negative values. So one of the things we need to remember when we're dealing with positive and negatives is that if we multiply values, okay, so I'm just going to do a little multiplication table here, okay, we've got a positive number and a positive number multiplied together. You know what, I'm going to do these in slightly different colors just to show. You know what, I like using blue here, so use a darker blue. So we've got the multiplication here. If we've got two positive numbers and we multiply them together, we get a positive, okay? If instead we've got two negative numbers, and we've got a negative number here, and we multiply a positive number by a negative number, we get a negative number. If we multiply a negative number by a positive number, we get a negative number. And then if we multiply two negative numbers together, we end up getting a positive, okay? So a positive by a positive is a positive, a negative by a positive is a negative, positive by a negative is a negative, and two negatives multiplied together is a positive. So we've got a negative number here, a negative number here, so we know two negatives multiplied together is a positive, so plus, and then it's 2x multiplied by 1, so it'll just be 2x, okay? So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that there. Great. So now let's look at a similar note, and we'll go down and we will look at minus 3 multiplied by, minus 3y multiplied by 3x, okay? So firstly, we've got a negative number here, a positive number here, so we'll know that the number at the end is going to be negative. Next, we'll multiply the two coefficients, 3 by 3. Next, we'll multiply the y, and we'll multiply it with the x, okay? Now, 3 by 3, that's 9, so we're going to have negative 9. And we always put these into alphabetical order just to make it easier for us to organize them. So we end up with minus 9xy. Okay, so this should all be fairly straightforward to you girls. This should all be stuff that you girls know at this point. If there is anything you have trouble with, what I'm going to say is I'm going to move on. I'm going to do a little bit about expanding brackets. Then I'm going to give some homework. The work that I give on page 25, please do that after looking at this, and then you can go back You can try our page 28 stuff afterwards. But for now, we're just going to have a quick look at expanding brackets. Okay. Now, one of the things I might suggest is just pause this video, copy down this work if you're struggling at all with it, just so that you kind of have a process in front of you. Okay? So, expanding brackets. Fun. Great, so we've got our first set of brackets here. We've got 4 multiplied by x plus 1. So we've got these inside of brackets. And what we have here is when we're multiplying out brackets, we multiply the bracket outside by the 2 or 3 or however many inside. So we do it step by step. So we take this 4 and we multiply it by the x. So 4, it's going to use multiplication symbols for now. Multiply by x, and then we go plus 4 multiplied by 1. Okay. So 4 multiplied by x, that's 4x. 4 multiplied by 1, that's 4. Great. Now let's look at something a little tougher. Okay. Here we have, this looks scary, but it's actually not that bad when we look at it. So again, we're just multiplying the values in front of the brackets by the values inside the brackets. And there's just one thing, I would say the biggest error people will make. Pause this video, just take a second, think what you think that biggest error might be. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Biggest error people ignore. Think that this is just multiplying 5 by these two numbers. It's not. It's multiplying minus 5 by these two numbers. So let's have a look see here. So firstly, we're multiplying 4 by these two numbers. So 4 by 2x. And again, I don't really like using multiplication symbols. I'm actually going to stop using them for a little bit. I'm going to go 4 by 2x. So this is just saying these two are multiplied together. Plus, again, 4 by 3. 4 multiplied by 3. And then it's minus 5 multiplied by 3. So I'm just going to go plus minus 5 multiplied by 3x plus minus 5 multiplied by minus 5. Okay, and negative 5 multiplied by negative 5. And I'm just going to need to move this over a little bit just to accommodate where that last minus 5 is going to go. Minus 5 multiplied by minus 5. Okay. So now we're going to multiply out these values. So 4 by 2x is 8x. 4 by 3 is 12. Minus 5 by 3x minus 15x. Minus 5 by minus 5. Ooh, we've got a negative multiplied by a negative. That's just going to be 25. Great. Next, what do we do? Well, we look at like terms. So we've got x's here. And then we've got constants. So values without any variables here. So 8x minus 5. Sorry, I dropped the x there on the 8. 8x minus 15x plus 12 plus 25. And I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit just to finish off this equation. 8x minus 15x, that's going to be minus 7x. Remember, you can just use a calculator for this if you want. Plus 12 plus 25, so positive 12 plus 25, that'll be 37. And we've got ourselves an answer. Okay, so I know I've thrown a lot of stuff at you girls. None of this should be new, but if there is anything that you're taking a little bit more time with, and you're really struggling with, you can always contact me. I'm always happy to help you girls out. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to assign a little bit of homework, okay? And this might be a little bit more than I would normally write down. The reason why I'm writing down a little bit more is just because it's all stuff that you've gone through before. It's all fairly standard rudimentary stuff, and I want to get through this nice and quickly so we can move on to kind of the tougher questions, the harder ones, the ones that will take more time. Okay, so we're doing in your book, page 25, questions 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, and 22. And then page 28, just going to do that 8 again, 28, questions 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And what I'm going to say, girls, is what you should be doing is you should be checking your answers, okay? So I don't want to be seeing all these questions done and no checks on our answers. So after doing page 25, I'd really recommend that would be a great time for you to look back on your questions and figure out if you've gotten them all right. If you're not getting some of these right, you probably need to work a little bit more on this before you move on to page 28. I know it feels like doing more work, but if you move on to page 28 and you're not getting page 25, you're not going to get page 28, and you're just going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's just going to keep being harder. So girls, that's going to be my video. Thank you so much for listening. What I'm going to ask is that we all upload this by, let's say, Thursday. If you need any of the textbook or anything, feel free to contact me. You, of course, all have my email. Thank you. Have a great